guys, so to give you guys a little bit of a recap, yesterday was Brian's first day in Canada. We did an 8-mile hike and pretty much just straight up. He's really sick, and then we wanted to do an 18-mile hike today, but we couldn't make it. We ended up going to bed around 5 p.m., woke up at 11:45 p.m., drove like an hour to the parking lot of the 19-mile hike, and then Brian was sick, we're all sore, and just, it wasn't happening pretty much. So we ended up, we're just gonna be driving the Icefields Parkway all through Banff and Jasper. It's, I don't even know what time it is right now. It's 3:40. We got to this spot around 30 minutes ago. We're shooting some stars. The moon is lighting up these mountains at Bow Lake, really nice. Can't really show you guys video of this spot, but we're gonna go over the photos with you guys. So right now I'm setting up a bulb exposure with the external shutter remote. So I just did a bunch of test shots. I don't know if you can see that right now. So all of these are like 20,000 ISO. They're mainly just to get my settings right, my composition right, but this is the one I'm happy with. So now I'm gonna set this up on bulb, and I'm gonna do probably a 15-minute photo. Hi, are we able to get gas?
Yep, I'll be there in a couple minutes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Bye. So we got 150 kilometers to our next gas station. It's, what time is it? 4:40 in the morning, so I think someone's gonna come save us before we run out of gas. So we just made it to spot number 2. It's 5:50 in the morning. We're at the glaciers in Jasper. I don't know the proper name, but it's right across from the visitor center. So we're gonna get sunrise here and then keep on going towards Jasper, see how much stuff we can get. We saw a hill, we just assumed it was up there, but now we see where we wanted to go. It's over there, and the overlook's over there. But we're so close, we're gonna see what we get into. How you feeling? It's only a 1-mile round trip. It's pretty much straight up. I look ridiculous because I changed into my climbing shoes, but I feel much, much better. Brian, were you ready for this when you woke up today? Out on that ledge. I'm gonna get some dope photos of them. Pretty standard settings, 1/400, f6.3 and ISO 100 polarizer. Alright guys, so we just got to Athabasca Falls. Got my camera with the 1635 G Master. Here's Brian's with the 1635 f4. I'm actually gonna shoot with his my 1635 on his camera. Reason being is because for my G Master I only have a polarizer, but for the f4 I have a ND 1000, and it's about an hour or two before golden hour. But the clouds look really nice, they're moving fast, so I'm gonna try to get some 30-second to 45-second exposures.
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I don't even know. Midnight we started. We've all kind of napped here and there in the car, but not much. And the car is packed. But I think it's 7:30, yeah. And we are at Sunwapta Falls. I'm dead, so I'll probably be here for 4 minutes since we've been here before. But we'll see what we get. I've got the polarizer and the ND1000 in my pocket, so we'll see.
Can see this right here. That's pretty regular settings, but it's completely black because of the ND1000. But that means I can pretty much get like a 1 minute exposure of this if I wanted to.
Alright, what is up guys? So as you saw, it was quite a hectic day in Jasper National Park. We were supposed to do Lake O Hara, but everything that came up, it was just the best decision not to go. It happens, but we still had an awesome day in Jasper, and this first stop in Bow Lake, I'm not really sure if this is Banff, Yoho, or Jasper. It's kind of in between all three, but let's dive right into it. So this photo was taken at, I don't even know, 2 or 3 a.m. We didn't really sleep this night because of O'Hara, but you see my settings up here. This is the last photo I took of the star shoot that we did, and the reason my settings are what they are is because of all the shots I took prior to this, and it all culminated into this shot and what I thought my settings should be, and it all just kind of like clicked, and I got it on the first attempt. Normally doesn't happen like that. However, my settings were ISO 100, which I'm so stoked about because I hate ISO, and I was able to get a awesome star trail that to me looks perfectly exposed with no grain, no artificial ISO, anything like that. I was shooting on a 16mm wide angle lens at f2.8 to get some extra light in there, and this is pretty funny, but my shutter was 1,121 seconds, which is the equivalent to about 18.5 minutes, just over that mark. And I was using a external shutter remote to take a bulb exposure. So I essentially put it on, put a timer on my phone, and 18 minutes stopped it, and this is what I came out with. So just to dive into processing, I am going to start with my typical editing, drop the highlights, up the shadows just a touch because they really don't need it. Highlights a little bit more because the sky was a bit bright on this one. Up the whites, down the blacks, and I probably won't drop the contrast because I don't think it needs it. And I'm going to go up the vibrance just a little bit, and the clarity just 2 stops. And I am going to get into some local filters. So down here is just a little bit too yellow, so I'm going to bring graduated filter up and bring that white balance down quite a bit. Just see where I want it and what looks the most natural to me. I think that helps. I'll probably take a little bit of saturation out, and I'm actually going to drop the exposure, but this side needs it more, so I'm going to angle it just a little bit. Alright, I think that looks better already. And then I'm going to bring another graduated filter. I don't want that clarity to drop. Let me make sure it didn't do that on this. It did. Glad I noticed that. I'm going to drop the exposure some more, bring it down quite a bit, And I'm going to bring the whites up. And overall exposure down. A little bit of highlights up too. So I'm pretty stoked on that. I'm going to still mess with the white balance a little bit because what I just did definitely affected it. So I can bring it up a little bit warmer, I think. And maybe a touch of magenta. Maybe too much, put that to 6. And I'm actually going to drop the overall exposure because it wasn't overexposed, but it's just a little too bright and it really did not need it. But I'm going to bring the shadows up a little bit just from this left side. It's a little bit dark. The moon was kind of illuminating these mountains but didn't get this one too much. I want to see what it does if I bring the luminance of the greens up. So that's got some nice greens in the lake. Didn't do much. Instead, I'm going to undo that and just pull this into Photoshop. So edit in Adobe Photoshop, let that load. Alright guys, so now that we're in Photoshop, I'm going to get a little bit more technical with some local adjustments. If I'm moving too fast, it's again just because I want to keep these quickly. Again, it's just because I want to keep these quick and fast paced, and all of this stuff I go over in my Photoshop course, and I'll be going over further in detail on my start to finishes that are coming soon. So first off, I'm going to make a copy of my background layer, which is Command J. And then I'm going to come up to Camera Raw Filter, and these stars, I really want them to punch. So I'm going to bring up my whites a ton, and you can see all the trails start to come out. And then I'm going to drop my exposure quite a bit. And I don't want it to be this blue of a sky, so I'm going to bring up the warmth actually to kind of negate that. And just bring up the whites even more. And see how some magenta looks maybe. Maybe just a little bit of that. That should be good. Let's see before, after. That definitely helps. Maybe a little bit more to the blue side. Yeah, there we go. Click OK. And then I only want this on my sky. So when I was doing that, I wasn't even looking at any of the rest of the picture. So I'm going to add a layer mask. I'm going to invert it, which is Command I. And now, what I just did, you can't see anything. So now with this inverted layer mask, I'm going to paint white onto black, and I'm going to paint in what I want. And I'm going to do a pretty rough job on this because as it gets closer to the mountains, it doesn't really need to be perfectly on there. Also because as the stars get closer to the mountain, they're not as apparent. So most importantly is that up top gets the most of it. And I'm going to switch brushes to a black brush because these corners are too dark, so I don't need it there. So I'm going to go with a low opacity. Just kind of take that back. And I'm going to go back and forth just to make sure that that blends all good. It kind of looks like there was some haze in the sky. Not really sure what from. Maybe it's just the clouds up here. But let's see, before, after. I definitely think that helps punch the stars out more. So now I'm going to make a merge visible layer, which is Command Option Shift E, which again is just a fresh layer with all the edits under it. And I want this water to just punch some more, so I'm just going to put some saturation on it with another Camera Raw filter, jack the vibrance, a little bit more blue to reflect the sky, and touch magenta, okay, and layer mask, invert again, and then I just want to brush, white brush, onto the water. I'm going to be pretty rough with this one as well, mainly because if it does seep into the mountains a little bit or the lake, I don't think it's that big of a deal because the image as a whole is relatively desaturated. Just bring a little bit more punch into the water. You can see that before, after. That definitely helps, and it definitely helps reflect the sky that we just helped edit. Lastly, I'm going to do one more merge visible layer, Command Option Shift E, and one more Camera Raw filter. I think these mountains could just use some more saturation. I'm gonna bump that up, but I think the white balance is kind of also off. Just gonna mess with that until I get something I'm more happy with. There's not enough depth, so I'm gonna drop the shadows quite a bit, dehaze a little bit, and then those yellows are just a little too green, I think. So bring those warmer a little bit. Oh, on the hue, I'm gonna bring those warmer a little bit, and I'm gonna bring the luminance up. And I'm gonna bring the greens over to the right. I think that looks better before, after. And again, when I'm doing these local adjustments in camera raw filter, I'm only looking at what I want to change. So I know this water's oddly green. I'm not even looking at that because I know I'm not going to put it there. Do another layer mask that's inverted. And just one last time, I'm going to brush this into where I want it. And for the most part, when I'm doing stuff like this, I am a lot more exact, and I will make fine selections and everything. But for stuff like this, all of the edits I did were relatively similar to the photo as a whole. So if stuff did seep over a little bit, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. The guy was relatively quick on all of this, and there's not really anything I would change about this. Like, I'm pretty happy with this. You can see the before in Lightroom, the backslash key. Then we can see the final in Photoshop. I'm super stoked on that. So that's it for that one. Alright, what's up, guys? So here's another photo from our day in Jasper. This is at Sunwapta Falls. I did a 30-second exposure. I believe I had an ND 1000 on. We were shooting just a few hours before sunset, so you can see a little bit of color in the sky, but not an overwhelming amount. To my quick beginning edits. Highlights down quite a bit. Alright. And this horizon's kind of weird because of the angle I was taking it at, but I think it also kind of looks cool because you can see it is a flat horizon. Just the wide angle at this angle makes it look kind of trippy, I guess. But I'm going to keep it as is because I do like it quite a bit. Bring up the saturation a bit and even the dehaze, maybe not that much. But up in the sky, I'm going to take the luminance up because that was just too much. Take a bump to aqua and lower the saturation of the blues. I think that looks a little bit more natural. And these trees kind of almost look like fall. I'm going to just up the oranges and the yellows a lot, and even the reds, just because I really like the colors on those, and I really want to kind of do like a mock fall photo, even though this was in the middle of summer. I'm going to bring the reds, just play with the hue of these colors to see if I get anything I like. The red doesn't really do anything. The orange does. So bring the oranges over, bring the greens to more green. The yellows I'm going to keep in the middle. And I think that looks pretty good. Probably bump the luminance of all of those up. Yeah, I think that looks better for sure. So this is the before and after. I mean, it really shows you can do a lot in Lightroom, and it's really awesome. Even bring up the clarity a little bit. And then I'm going to pop this in Photoshop, mainly just for cleanup on this shot. I don't think it really needs anything else. Alright, so I'm going to make a background, I'm going to make a copy of my background layer, Command J, and I'm going to click J, and that comes to the spot healing brush tool. And with my bracket keys, I'm going to take a bigger brush depending on what I need. I'm just going to zoom in so I can really see what I need to clean up, because I was shooting at f11, so as you can see my sensor is quite dirty, and f11 was really showing that. So I'm just going to take some time to clean this up. And I'm going to take this whole area out. It is unnecessary to the photo, and it takes your eye away from what actually matters. Doing a rough job just because, based on knowing Photoshop, I think it's going to do quite a good job taking that out. Let's see. To go over a few more passes. Boom. Get this out of here. And then take a bigger brush. Should be good after just a few passes. That looks alright, but I'm going to make a merge visible layer. And just to make sure you can't see anything here, I'm going to do a quick camera raw filter. Drop the clarity pretty much all the way because it's not necessary to this. And should bring the contrast up. Click OK. And then I'm going to make a layer mask, invert that, and then just down here, brush it in. Click B, actually, so get my brush. Yeah. I'm just going to brush this in, and as you can see, that totally takes away anything left over that was there. And make one more merge visible just to show you guys the difference of with the branches and without. So I think that totally just helps, kind of keeps your eye centered up here, doesn't have this kind of sloppy branch distracting you. And then on this top layer, I'm going to come back to the spot healing brush tool, just go through my photo, see if there's anything else I need, anything else I need to take care of. Definitely up here. That looks good. Right here, we'll see what we can do. I had this issue last time and I had to do quite a bit to get all this out. I might just have to take the whole fence out, and with this it's probably just going to take a few passes with the spot healing brush tool. I mean, they're blurry from the 30-second exposure, so that kind of helps make it a little bit easier. Just got to make sure it looks natural after the fact with all the spot healing that you do. A little bit of fence texture there, I need to take that out. And now, if you knew that I did that and you zoomed in here, you might be able to tell that something is off. But if you otherwise didn't know, I guarantee 99.9% of people, if they looked at this photo as is, they would not notice anything here. However, if you were printing this photo, I would definitely take some more time to clean this up. But for this, that's perfect as is, guys. So that's it for this one.